Well, a very good morning to you, and welcome to the Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg in Austria for the next round of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And alongside me is Sean Hollenby, and we're delighted to see the grid of cars, perhaps even more delighted, Sean, unlike qualifying yesterday, to see a dry track at the moment.
Yes, that's right. I mean, the circuit is... there's a few damp patches, but and then suddenly the clouds are suddenly coming over the top as we talk about it. But this circuit really is completely different, wet to dry, and is very much a wet line circuit. And I think we saw that with the pole man as we.
Roy Nassani we're looking at now.
Yeah, he did well. But the pole man there, number 51. Daniel Kvyat, who was fantastic in the wet yesterday, really knows his way around here. He was actually pole position for all three races, which is pretty dominant in Formula 3 at this level.
Yeah, it is. Talking to Trevor Carlin about that domination, if you like, and Trevor just said we were absolutely zoned in to the setup. When you look at where our cars are, now of course we should bear in mind that in terms of championship, Daniel Kvyat is effectively invisible. The championship is being led by Raffaele Marciello, who is way up 214.5 points, and Felix Rosenqvist, who incidentally is starting alongside Daniel Kvyat, is the one to really watch out for here. He's the one that can gain some points because for whatever reason Marciello is further down the order. He's down there on row 7. Felix Rosenqvist is on the front row, and it's a great opportunity for him to come good in this race and to bank some points, to try and encroach on that huge lead that Marciello has at the top of the championship. What we should also consider the fact, Sean, is it's all very well the qualifying yesterday in the wet. You know, this race certainly today is going to be in the dry, and that's going to be very different for some of these guys.
Yes, definitely. I mean, Rosenqvist really needs to capitalise on Marciello being off the pace as they go off the line. They're trying to get some heat in the tyres as the sun dips in behind the clouds, so the track temperature's going to drop a little bit here. But Marciello's in the midfield. I mean, that's not a nice place to be for the first few corners round here in a Formula 3 race. And Rosenqvist, if he's going to make a bid for this championship, I mean, he's a long way behind in the points. He really needs to make the best of it.
And the other consideration is that with all the rounds that we've had, this event actually marks the halfway point in the championship. So a lot of driving has been done, a lot of races have been won, and Marciello has certainly been right at the top of the tree in the first half of the championship. And you know, 214.5 points up against 137 by Jiminy, Felix Rosenqvist, then Lucas Auer and Alex Lynn, who are sitting second, third, fourth in the championship. They've got a lot of work to do, a lot of points to gain, haven't they? And they kind of need Marciello to not do very well.
Yes, that's right. I mean, that's very important here. I mean, Marciello, he just needs to keep out of trouble those first couple of corners, pick up a few places and really just keep scoring points and be conservative. He's got a points lead. He needs to protect that. You don't protect that by losing your nose cone on the first lap.
No, absolutely. And interestingly, talking to Raffaele, over the course of the series, he has got a more mature head on as we take a look at the grid there. Daniel Kvyat on pole, Felix Rosenqvist alongside. Then it's Lucas Wolf, Eddie Cheever, good quality from Jordan King, P5, Nicholas Latifi, also good P6, Lucas Auer, Harry Tinknell, 7 and 8, Sven Muller, and then Josh Hill, the Fortec driver, P10. Then we see Mitch Gilbert, P11, Jan Mardenborough, P12. Then it is the points championship leader, Raffaele Marciello, P13, Michael Lewis, the American, alongside. Then it's Felix Sorales, Roy Nassani, Alex Lynn, Giovinazzi, Tom Blomqvist, Louis Filippi, Pippo Durrani. Then we see Will Buller, who's changed teams now with Fortec, Sandro Sella, Hans Granhagen, Andre Rudersdorf, Tatiana Calderon, Galiel Goddard, and Dennis van der Laar. Dennis van der Laar then he's under a penalty, isn't he?
Yeah, he got five place grid penalty for going too fast under yellows, basically, I should think. That's from yesterday. It doesn't really affect us at the front of the field, but not great for him. But as they line up here, they'll really be trying to get some heat in those tyres, especially the guys on the dirty side of the grid. The DTM cars who practiced earlier on, they actually did some practice starts. You can see some of the black there, and there's a few of those clouds. I'm sure Kvyat is hoping that some of the rain will come down, because I'm not sure that some of these boys who were quick in the wet yesterday, they just won't be quite so quick in the dry, and I think that's going to play into Rosenqvist's hands. I mean, the key thing here, he's got to get a good start. He must get away, trying to get in front of Kvyat and pull away and really get a win in this race if he's going to make this championship more of a battle than it has been so far.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see the cars lining up on the grid then, and the 4.3 kilometre circuit here at Spielberg then, the next round in the FIA F3 European Championship still to come. Norris Ring, Nürburgring, Zandvoort, Hockenheim and Paul Ricard. But right now 14.1 is the air temperature, track temperature 17.3 with black clouds looming overhead. Here come the lights. When the lights go out, we will be away and racing, and all eyes will be on the front row of the grid as away we go. A lot of movement in the third of the grid there, but this is brilliant. Exactly what he needed to do, Sean. He has got away from P2 on the grid. Felix Rosenqvist doing exactly what he needed to do, as we see several cars go wide there from the very, very high shot that we've got. But Felix Rosenqvist knew what he'd got to do, and he's done it, and Kvyat is going backwards now.
Yes, exactly. I mean, perfect start from that side of the grid. Kvyat, these two battling behind, are really going to slow the whole field up as they come through. 24 there, having a little look up the Lucas Oya. Now, I'm not sure. I think I saw Marciello dropping back. Oh no, he's still up there in the midfield. There was a slow car off of the line. I thought it might have been him, but no, they got away. But Rosenqvist made a perfect job here. He really needs to make the best of it. But Kvyat's hanging in there in second place as they battle for fourth and fifth, coming round halfway round this circuit. But a fairly clean start, Formula 3, start of the weekend.
Yeah, good to see. None of the nose cones in need quite yet. So all jostling for the positions then as we get the first lap underway here, and those distinctive Muka cars then moving up through the grid, but moving more than any other through the grid is from a perfect start. Felix Rosenqvist doing exactly as he needed to do, and making that start very much his own as he heads around this circuit here. Lots of uphill and downhill sections here, and it's amazing when you stand at the bottom or stand on the start-finish straight and see the uphill into the turn one right-hander. Here's we get the first lap then, Rosenqvist, Kvyat, Wolf then doing a good job, P3, then it's King, Auer, Muller, Latifi and Chiva is P8 at the moment, and still some jostling going on.
Yeah, Marcello's made a couple of places as the stragglers come over the line there side by side, but he's going into the hairpin for the first time. A little bit of there's a spinner in the middle there. Is that number 3?
That's Ticknell.
That's Ticknell. Spun round again. That's not a good start to his weekend. But as they come through again, was there a little bit of contact? No, I think he lost it all on his own there, to be honest. Cold tyres at the back there. I'm sure his GoPro would have got a good shot of that. But further around the lap, a little bit of locking up under braking. And again, but fairly clean first lap, really. I mean, the key story there's number 12, who's just pushed it wide into the gravel. Durrani there, who's got a bit of gravel on his tyres. But yeah, Rosenqvist, I think now he can control that. And again, Kvyat's hanging on though, even though it's dry compared to yesterday's wet session. You know, he's hanging in there. So
Lucas Auer, look at this around the outside, Sean. This is great stuff from Lucas Auer. Now, just going back to the replay we saw then of Tinknell going around, and you don't think there was any contact there from Mardenborough. You think it was just Tinknell. He was on cold tyres, and you know, Tinknell's sitting there in 5th position at the moment in the points, and that's just not what he needed. That's
right, and these guys are still side by side coming through here, again keen to get through, and I think that's Muller. Yes, yeah, Muller who's making his way through the field. King was going well earlier on, seems to drop back a little bit now as the other guys get through. Oya seems to be the man on the move a little bit in 4th place. He's got some good pace, but Rosenqvist definitely doing what he needs to do at the front.
Okay, so the order then is Rosenqvist from Kvyat, then it's Wolf, Auer, then we see Muller in P5, and still more going on in the early stages here as Sven Muller is on a charge. Yeah,
Muller's just got past Oya, but Oya's back inside him into the hairpin there, uphill into that hairpin, so a bit of contact. Across, it looked like...
That's turned Auer out, hasn't it? Auer's out of this. What a shame, because he was trying so hard.
That's right. I mean, really, to be honest, even from that angle, it did look like Oya just pulled across a little bit too early over to his left. You know, always got to give the guy space. He knew the guy was alongside him, but obviously thought he was a little bit further back than he was.
Let's see it again.
Yeah, if we get a different angle, it'd be quite. Oh, this is out of the first corner here. So this is Wolf and Oyer.
This is Wolf and Oyer has taken off there.
This is why he lost that pace. I didn't see that coming out at the first corner. This is how Muller got a run on him. Huge, great speed bollards really on the exit of that corner. This is why he lost the space, and really that mistake.
Off.
Yeah, that mistake has cost him his race really.
Well, and there we can see it from so many different shots, and that it really did play into the hands of Sven Muller, who was able to take advantage of that. And there you can see Sven Muller and Lucas Oyer there getting together, and I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't look like Muller did anything wrong there. I think that's Oyer, who was probably a bit cross that he'd made that mistake at the first corner and desperate to get back ahead, but didn't give him enough room.
Okay, as we continue then, Rosenqvist, Kvyat, then it's Wolf, then it's King, and Sven Muller on a charge once again. Sven Muller is looking really, really racy here, Sean.
Yes, as he goes to the outside, he's very quick out that first corner, and just behind them is Marcello, who's sneaking up the place. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to defend that championship lead. Again, side by side, let's see if he gives him enough room. He does, but that actually leaves Marcello.
So Marcello's right behind Latifi now, isn't he? And Sven Muller really has lost out there.
Yes, definitely, and I think Marcello will have a little look in the inside here, but again, he can be safe, but he looks around the outside. He don't think he's going to make it stick there unless he's very good on the brakes. And again, that's not the sort of thing that Marcello wants to see. Again, very close behind him is Muller as well. So, and again, he's made a good first couple of laps here, Marcello. Exactly what he needs to do to defend his championship lead after a bad qualifying.
Now, what I was saying earlier on is the fact that talking to Marcello this season, he realises that bagging points is sometimes more important than actually going all out for the win. And after saying that, he's looking really, really aggressive this morning, but he has certainly, we've seen that where Marcello has banked points where it's been necessary, but at the moment he's really hounding Nicholas Latifi then. And there we can see a stopper there. That's Josh Hill.
Josh Hill, he looks like he's got front right puncture possibly, or suspension problem anyway, so yeah, he's pulling off the circuit. That will be the end of his first race of the day. But it was quite interesting there. It looks like Marcello was sizing up Latifi there and here I think this is them coming down. Yes, he's very strong, and again Latifi's sort of working his way backwards in that pack, but very aggressive. Lots of car movement from that blue car, and
Marcello's done enough now, hasn't he?
He's got ahead, but no, not quite. You can brake very late there because it's so uphill.
Yep.
And again, don't get alongside him there, you'll end up exactly
squeezed out a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, pushed onto the wet grass. You can see there where the rain's been coming down, and that'll allow Muller to maybe have a little run into this next corner. But no, Marcello's very quick there, even though he lost that traction. So he'll be keen to get past. I'm sure he's got another half a second quicker if he can go past Latifi and then maybe get up onto the podium by the end of this race.
Now, what you've said is true, because as these two are battling so very hard, Muller is able to get back on terms with them, isn't he? And he's also in there, just waiting to see if these two do have a coming together. Obviously, he's going to be there to pick up the pieces. And there's the last 3 laps then of Latifi and Marcello, and the difference between them as the battle continues to rage. And it is the battle that's raging for P5 at the moment. Rosenqvist is leading. We're on lap 5 of 24. So Rosenqvist from Kvyat as we complete yet another lap. Then it's Wolf, then it's King, and then we get into this battle that we're watching at the moment between Latifi, Marcello and Muller. Marcello, the points leader in the championship with some 214.5 points. Absolutely remarkable, 77.5 points he is in the lead. But the guy in second place is leading this race. Second place in the championship is Felix Rosenqvist, and he is leading the race. And yeah, he's got a comfortable margin now, Sean.
Yeah, and he's just done fastest lap of the race, the last lap, as we see them battling, coming down into their hairpin again. Lots of movement, late on the brakes there, the Mucker car.
Michael Lewis having a go there on Will Buller.
Pushes him wide and makes the place stick. If you are going to push somebody wide, do it quite forcefully, unlike I did earlier on when he just sort of gradually did it. But yeah, Rosenqvist looking very strong, personal best again in the first sector, so he's looking good at the front. But Marcello will be keen to get past Latifi, who's hanging on there, but what he doesn't want to do is have a problem and throw away the points that he's already gained for 6th place. But I think he's got the pace to definitely challenge, I think, to get close to a podium finish here, which would be a great from 12th on the grid.
Okay, keeping our eye on Roy Nassani there. And down there in P11 at the moment is Roy Nassani. Mucker Motorsport driver.
I mean, I think this shows there's a lot of cars who maybe should have qualified a bit further up the grid but didn't have the wet weather pace, and there's lots of guys yesterday who qualified higher up the grid than they would have done because it was wet, but now they're dropping back. I mean, Kvyat's been quite impressive, but I've got to say if he had a few more cars around him, I think they might be pushing him back as well because he hasn't got the pace of Rosenqvist. But there's a few guys who are further down the field who are making their way through. But it's I think we'll see a little bit of change as well because they didn't get any dry setup yesterday, so I think we'll see cars that drop off the pace later on in the race as well as they come side by side into the hairpin again, and again that's Latifi and Marcello again, and Marcello really needs to make this stick, but I've got to say Latifi is making that car very, very wide and wants to be in all the places that Marcello wants to be at the moment.
Well, that's fine, isn't it? He's defending, and he, of course, is allowed to do that. Marcello has got to find a way round, and as you say, what Marcello needs to do is to get past as quickly as he possibly can. But to be fair to him, he's trying every which way, isn't he? And long way around the outside there, no chance of anything happening there. But he is certainly sticking with him now. Perhaps what I am surprised by is the fact that maybe Muller has not made more of this, but he's there, ready to take advantage.
Yes, that's right. I mean, again, it's the first race of the weekend as well, so they're aware that they want to get some good points in the bag from this one, rather than their mechanics having to mend a broken front upright in between the races. But again, I should see he's got to get past him soon. I mean, he's clearly a second and a half quicker. But again, it shows you how difficult with these cars, and Latifi's doing a great job of making the whole track his own at the moment.
Yes, and how crucial is it that this is probably, potentially, given the weather forecast, the only race that might be run in the dry this weekend for these guys?
Yes, I think that is quite important because, you know, somebody like Kvyat, who's finishing second at the moment, which is great for him, as he just does a PB in the first sector for his lap time. So he's pegging Rosenqvist, who I think now is managing the gap. But again, he'll be looking forward to being wet because he was so dominant yesterday.
So we've just seen Rosenqvist, Kvyat and Wolf go through, and a long way back before we get to more action as Marcello here is continuing to rage this battle, and Sven Muller now in a position perhaps to take advantage as Muller goes up the inside now, and of course the charge that Marcello is making is he's not only hunting but he's being hunted as well.
That's right, he's in a very difficult position because what he doesn't want to do is throw this race away, but he does want to get past, but it's opening up. He's being a bit careful on the overtaking side of things, quite rightly, but it is opening the door to Muller, so he's now given himself a double-ended. He's got to defend from behind while he's trying to attack from the front, and Latifi, as he's shown, is quite good at defending.
Yes, and we can see that as we're watching this battle. This is the battle that's raging for P5 at the moment as we complete yet another lap here at the Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg. We're in Austria for this round of the F3 European Championship, and the race is being led by Felix Rosenqvist, who has a healthy margin of some 4 seconds right at the front. The battle that we're focusing on is the battle, though, for 5th place, which is being fought out by Latifi, who is currently 5th, and it's Marcello, then it is Muller.
And what this is allowing, there's 3 cars behind who are catching these 3 as well, as Latifi holds his own. He's holding this group up, and Alex Lynn is particularly quick in that group behind.
But Cheever in that mix as well, haven't you? And Blomqvist as well.
That's right, and again we've got side-by-side action in front there, which is Wolf,
that's Lucas
and
Wolf.
King, yeah, who are, again, they're very, very keen. This is a battle over podium position, so it's very important. Always a bit disappointing when you finish 4th, so 3rd place is really, really key. Get yourself up on the podium, and everybody knows you've had a good race. There's this battle behind, and you can see those cars behind, which is Cheever, Lynn and Blomqvist, who are catching up. We're going to have a 6-car battle for 5th place in a second, so I think Marcello needs to get a move on and make a move stick on Latifi.
Now, you mentioned there that Rosenqvist is managing the gap well. He's increased it by 7/10 over the last lap. It's up to a margin of 4.7 over Kvyat now. Then it is the battle between Wolf, King. Then we're on to this Latifi, Marcello, Sven Muller, with Cheever, Lynn and Blomqvist getting in on that action as well very, very soon.
So again, here's the start. Let's have a little look here, because Rosenqvist wins this race in the first 100 yards, really. And again, slower car off the back who does get away, but a great start from Rosenqvist. Not quite so good from Kvyat, but as they get away here, Yeah, no real obvious problems there. But again, that's the first 100 yards there. Great start. Dirty side of the track as well, so I mean he wouldn't have expected to get that. And Kvyat defends the inside, which again backs everybody else back. And again, Rosenqvist, makes a break there at the first corner, and this is where, if he goes on to win this race, that's where he won it.
Yep.
So into the first hairpin. Let's see if there was any contact.
No, I don't.
Very. If there was, it was very light, but it doesn't need to be much when you're just turning in. A light tap on the rear. As again, we've got some more battling here as they come through, and
this is we're looking at Tom Blomqvist there, racing, of course, in the Red Bull colours. There is young Tom, currently down there in P10 at the moment. Chasing Chiva.
Yeah, and Lynn's going well in there as well, but they seem to have broken away a little bit in front. Latifi actually is now seems to be settled down. Again, that's maybe to do with setup, and he was struggling a little bit earlier on, but now seems to be slightly pulling away from Marcello. So maybe Marcello's missed his chance to make that, get in front of Latifi, because Latifi now is a couple of tenths a lap quicker and has just done a PB, as has Marcello. So he did well to defend there, Latifi. Otherwise, he would have been pushed back 2 or 3 places then.
This is our race leader then, Felix Rosenqvist. Kind of hardly mentioned him, hardly watched him, because there's been so much action going on behind, but he's leading this race, and crucially, he is second in the championship as we go into this round here at the Red Bull Ring. And the guy that's leading the championship, Raffaele Marciello, then down there in P6 at the moment. Now, do you think in the early stages of aggression, Sean, that he's just he's pushed himself a little bit too hard, and maybe the tyres are beginning to show the effects of that wear?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point, really, because if you spend sort of 4 or 5 laps tucked up behind another car, you lose the front tyres. And again, I just saw car 15, Spike Goddard, come into the pits, so possibly contact here. Yes, he loses the front wing there. You saw him just come into the pits a second ago, so he's coming for a nose change. Again, there's a lot of moving around. You've got to be careful if you push across. And again, there's no point carrying on with a nose like that, because the front can collapse and then you end up going straight off the track. So he's had to come into the pits there as well.
I think that was contact with the Indonesian driver, Sean Gallio, wasn't it? Interesting, as I was walking through the paddock this morning, the huge pile of Dallara nose cones that were sitting there in cellophane, Sean, ready for use.
That's the contract I'd like to have. A front nose cone in the Formula 3 Championship is always going to be a lucrative one.
Okay, so Rosenqvist, Kvyat, Wolf, then it's King, Latifi, Muller, Marcello, Lynn, then occupying the top 8 positions at the moment here at the Red Bull Ring. We're approaching halfway in this race as we see some debris from that contact we saw just a few moments ago that's left out there on the track. Here's Lucas Wolf then. URD Rennsport is the team, and Wolf then being hounded by Jordan King, the Carlin driver.
Yeah, and King's been quite strong all the way through, and he's just done his PB in the first sector, so he's happy with his setup of his car. What he needs to do is, I think in the next 5 laps, he'll start really pushing Wolf there for 3rd place, and I think King's been strong all the way through. A little bit further back, Alex Lynn has just done the fastest sector of anybody in the first sector, which is impressive, and I think he'll start coming strong over the next few laps as well. So there's a few guys on various different setups, I think, just due to the wet sessions we had yesterday, and there'll be various different pace. Marciello seems to be struggling a little bit, but he's hanging in there, and I think it will be interesting to see who's still got tyres underneath them in the last 5-6 laps.
Now, just watching over the last couple of laps, Sean, Rosenqvist is up the wick a bit. The margin he has over Kvyat now is 6.3 seconds, so he's still crucially quick out there, isn't he? And he's keeping that margin very, very comfortable.
Yes, that's right. I mean, he'll be quite close under braking here, King, but a little bit too far back, possibly. Oh, no, I think he's made that stick. Very late on the brakes, side by side coming out. Will they give each other room? They do just about. And again, Wolf does well, gives him room. Good driving from both of them, really. There's no need to stop bumping into each other coming out of the corner. It's a long race. They've still got 10, 12 laps to go. As King looks to the outside here, he's keen to get past. He's definitely got the pace at the moment over Wolf, and he needs to make that place as quickly as possible, really, just to try and get a bit of air with him. But there's a few cars further back who are quicker than these guys, so I think over the next laps you'll see a little bit more of a battle. So it'd be important for for King to get through here.
Now, as they continue to battle, and we've seen that there, they're giving each other respect, aren't they? And they're giving each other room to race.
Yes, that's right, and that's important.
Now, here, presumably, it was just traction because of that uphill section where it works.
That's right. I mean, if you come in on a
dive on the inside, you're not going to be able to get it down, are you?
Exactly right. I mean, here we go. This
Greningen bouncing around there. Piling
right.
on the opposite lock to try and control it. A little excursion there, a little bit of rallycross in short.
Yeah, a little bit of rallycross there, and as they're coming through. But it was, I mean, it's good. You can dive down the inside, unless you're going to get your nose ahead and sort of squeeze the guy out. You're not going to make that stick because the guy on the outside just gets a better run coming out of the corner on a wider, less tight line. So again, we've got that battle further back. That seems to be, and there we go. We've got Latifi now. He's starting to close quite considerably by about 1.5 seconds that last lap while they were battling.
Now, crucially, what we haven't seen is Muller has got past Marciello at some point.
Okay, right. That's a bit. Yeah. Oh, so, right. Okay. Be interesting to see how he got past him there, because Muller is now. Marciello is now struggling a bit with that pace. He's dropped right back off Latifi, and Latifi is now one of the quickest cars on the circuit. So definitely a setup issue there earlier on. But the important thing is to be quick for most of the race rather than just the start of the race. So Marciello is struggling now because Muller's starting to squeak away, and Marciello is now being pressured by Lynn, who's just behind him. A little bit of a tighter line as they went through that long left-hander there. So that's his teammate, I believe, Alex Lynn. Is quite close. And there's Ralf Schumacher taking interest in what these guys are doing out on the circuit.
Chatting away there to Peter Mucker, isn't he? Of course, Ralf Schumacher very much now instrumental in guiding and honing driver skills, and no longer on the DTM grid, preferring to take a more of a managerial role now. And, of course, keeping an eye on everything that's going on in F3 as well. Rosenqvist, Kvyat, Wolf King, then it's Latifi, Muller, crucially having got past Marciello, and then it's Lynn, Blomqvist, Chiva, Lewis, Nissani, and Auer is P13.
Yes, I mean, this battle here, again, looks like Marciello's now starting to pressure Muller a little bit, so maybe made a mistake earlier on to allow Muller to get past, because now he seems to have the pace to get back in with him again, so he's regrouped and starting to push again, so he'll be disappointed to have dropped behind Muller because that's allowed Latifi to escape. But
yes, and to be fair, I mean, Latifi has driven a good race, hasn't he? He's been defending very, very hard. We saw that in the early stages of the race when Marciello was trying very, very hard, but you know, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's done everything right. He's defended hard, and now he's getting a little bit further up the road as Muller and Marciello are having sort of their own battle now.
That's right. I mean, Latifi's in a good position here to pick up the pieces if King gets a little bit impatient and has a little bit of a dive here on Wolf, because they are very closely matched, these cars, so it's going to take quite a strong move to get past and take that third place, and Latifi is edging closer and closer with every sector, really.
And whilst we're watching all the battles, then Rosenqvist is enhancing still further his lead at the front there, 8.6 seconds now, as we look at Roy Nissani and Lucas Auer. It's P12, P13 that we're watching. You can see the graphics on the screen there of the last 3 laps, as we're now on 15 of 24. It's Rosenqvist, Kvyat, it's Wolf King, Latifi, Muller, Marciello, Lynn, Blomqvist and Chiva occupying the top 10 positions.
Yes, and Auer will be kicking himself for that. Really was a mistake earlier on in crowding Muller, I believe it was, out of the hairpin, because he's got good pace and he would have definitely been on for a top 6 here today. But and again, sort of working his way back up, just about to trying to get back into the top 10 before the end of the race, I think.
So then we're watching replay now, and this is what you were talking about earlier on, how those things can launch you up in the air. Then that was Spike Goddard, who was very airborne there.
That's right, and that'll definitely have,
I mean, that's quite a height, isn't it?
That's exactly right. The problem is, if you don't put those speed bumps there, the drivers just run wide and get a fantastic run, you know, down to the hairpin. You do gain a lot of time. So it's unfortunately, even though it looks a bit agricultural for them to be doing that, it does stop most of them doing it and then gaining a massive advantage. But Spike Goddard's come back out the pits again, having changed his nose cone, so maybe the setup of the car isn't quite right as it was earlier on. But back with this battle now, and they're looking very strong, some of these guys, really. As we come here, that's King has now got ahead of Wolf while you're watching that replay.
Yes, because King is now in P3.
Yes,
Wolf
that's
down
right.
to
So
P4.
he's jumped ahead. So it'll be interesting to see if we can see a replay of how King got back in front of Wolf. But again, it must have been quite a do-or-die effort unless Wolf made a mistake. And again, Wolf made a mistake coming through that hairpin and missed his braking point.
There's Marciello getting past Muller.
That's right, exactly what he needed to do. Let's see if he can march on. But I think there was definitely a little bit of action a bit further up because it's Constantine Latifi as Muller tries to go round the outside here. I just think Marcello's got that game.
Oh, and he got sideways then.
Muller got very sideways. Lynn had a little look up the inside but thought better of it, which is quite sensible because I think he'd have lost his left front there. But again, Marciello is now sort of back on the pace. Is running well, but it'd be interesting to see. Let's see how King got past Wolf, because I'm sure that was either a bit of a kerfuffle or a very good do-or-die effort. We've got a yellow flag out there at the moment as well for some reason. So
there is King going through. Then we saw Wolf. There is Sven Muller. Okay, what's this replay here?
This is Marciello defending from the inside of Muller. Muller gets very sideways. Lynn has a little look, thinks better of it, quite sensibly, really. But again, coming through here, who have we got? This is.
So that's the problem. That's Groningen again, and the Van Amersfoort racing driver.
Yeah, a little bit sideways again. Lost the back midway through the corner. Clipped the inside. Be surprising that would have actually sort of put all the geometry right out on that car with lots of different angles. And again, the team just describing how they're going to set the car up for the next race for when he wants to do it the next time. But as they push Groningen off there, that means the yellow flag's in now, so that's clean for racing again. And then there's Rosenqvist, who's now in amongst the back markers.
Yes, I mean, he's got jolly near 10 seconds now over second place driver Kvyat, who, for the benefits of the points championship, Kvyat doesn't count. Doesn't matter, does he?
Exactly. I mean, that's
Jordan King that's going to benefit from that. He's currently P3. Then it's Wolf is P4. Latifi, who I've been really impressed with in this race, is P5. Then it's Marciello and Muller.
Yes, I mean, we just saw Rosenqvist. He did everything he needed to do. This is exactly what he'd been thinking about after qualifying last night. Make the most of a bad qualifying from Marciello. If he's going to a chance at closing that gap. Kvyat's done a good job, and I think he'll go much better if it does rain later today for the second race. So again, here's an overtake here, which is.
Now that's
Latifi on Wolf.
And Wolf getting very close, and Wolf there having to take to the gravel.
Yeah, Latifi again quite forceful, but to be honest with you, fairly fair. He didn't push him, outrageously. I think there he just took his place on the track. And Latifi has been, a good racer. He's defended really well from Marciello, who's also got past Wolf there. So Marciello's having a good run. And as they come into the first corner, this is maybe what led up to that. If we're looking, so three abreast into the first corner. And a bit of contact there as well. Was that Blomqvist? Yes. Yeah, Blomqvist getting turned around on the outside as they come through the first corner, so not great for him. But, and again, this is what's concertinaing that little group together.
Now that's, Sean, unnecessary, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, if you're side by side, three Formula 3 racers going into the first corner, very rare that they've already decided halfway down the straight before that they're going to be the last of the late breakers. So it usually ends in that sort of scenario. But yes, it is a shame because Blomqvist's going well and he had some good pace. Not his fault at all. He didn't cut in. It was just 3 into 1 doesn't go.
So Rosenqvist, Kvyat then, and here he is in P2. The young Russian driver for Carlin Motorsport. Exactly 10 seconds is the advantage Rosenqvist has, and managed this race from the off absolutely perfectly, hasn't he, Sean? It's been true joy to behold as he's lap after lap just increased that cushion he's had over Kvyat and done exactly what he did from the very start. Got a fine start and has been able to capitalise on that, and hopefully over the remaining 5 laps that we've got left of this race, he's going to be able to bank some very, very valuable points in his quest to try and get on terms with Marciello, who is leading the championship and is currently P5.
Yeah.
So there
what
is...
he will be disappointed with is that when he comes back into the pits, he's done everything he could do at the front, but Marcello's done a great job.
Yeah.
And in effect, he's got the points for 4th place from 12th on the grid.
Yes.
So, you know, Marcello's done exactly what he needed to do as well. So, again, it does help him in the championship, but not as much as he would have liked.
No. So there we see our race leader then.
And Rosenqvist, just to rub salt in the wounds there, just does the fastest lap of the race so far after lap 20 of 24. So he's got a good car underneath him. He's consistently pumping in good lap times, and at least a second to second and a half quicker than anybody else on the grid there on that lap.
Interestingly, we're watching Daniel Kvyat, but the times 1:26.084, then the last lap from Rosenqvist, just comparing that to his qualifying time of 1:43.865. I mean, huge gulf, isn't it?
Yes, I mean the traction well, because yesterday it was pouring with rain, a very wet track, and again, Formula 3 car is a downforce car, so the more grip that it can get onto the circuit, the more it can use the downforce. As soon as it's a wet situation, the downforce disappears, and then it's all about mechanical grip, and that's why you're seeing a difference with some of the guys who are quick in the wet, and now it's a dry conditions, they're not as quick. There's where is it? Well, Lucas Wolf's still hanging in there, but again, his pace, he's working his way backwards a little bit. Probably as setup disappears, a soft car will be quite good over the first couple of laps, but then not quite so good once the race carries on, and maybe that's showing itself there. But Rosenqvist and his team have done a great job, wet and dry. So
it's Rosenqvist from Kvyat. Then great showing from Jordan King, who is P3. If I'm honest, really impressive for me has been Latifi, who's had to defend very, very hard. He has defended hard, but in my opinion has defended fairly as well, and he's currently in P4. Then we see Marcello.
Yes, that's right. There's Marcello there. I'm just sorry, that's Oya. They run wide coming out the last corner. This will be interesting into the first corner here because he's got a very slow speed. So Oya makes a mistake as they come across the line. He's got Cheever just behind him, and no, doesn't quite make it. Got half a car's length in front, but again,
Can he undercut?
Definitely, yeah, good run here, and the mucker cars behind are making the most of that as well. So it'll be interesting to see again. About that point there, they'll all decide that they're going to be the first into this hairpin. So let's see who actually makes it down there in one piece. And so it's 3 or 4 of them.
They're going to be 4 abreast, Sean, into this.
It's going to be very tight. Great move down the inside. There we go. Well, that's how it should be done. To be honest, they're all very brave, and they all came out the other side. So great racing there.
So that a battle raging that's a little bit further down the order, but nonetheless very, very exciting indeed. You've got Cheever and Auer in there, and Nissani, and
yeah, Cheever did a fantastic job there, to be honest. Realised where the other cars around him were, and gave him space, but then got the jump on him coming out of the corner. So good job there from Cheever. So as they come down here, it is about 4 abreast as they come down.
It is.
And we've got Lewis dives down the inside. Cheever has a little think about it and says, thanks very much. I'll come all the way from the back to the front of that lot. Thanks very much.
Absolutely amazing. Great stuff from the F3 racers. Rosenqvist, Kvyat, King, then the 1, 2, 3. You can see the order on your screen in front of you. We're reaching the very closing stages of this race. Yes,
and I've just seen Wolf come in the pits there just in front of us, so I'm not sure if he had a problem there, but he was well up in the top 10. So this will help these guys get further up into the points as Nissani gets very sideways at the first corner, but doesn't seem to lose too much time as they come down to the scene of their 4 abreast moment on the last lap, but a little bit more spread out this time, so know what's going on. Interesting to see what Wolf's up to there and what his problem was. Possibly as his tyres were going off with setup of the car, he was just dropping backwards, possibly.
So as they roar through then, leading that pack at the moment is Eddie Cheever, who was able to take advantage of the skirmishes that were going on there, and it was great racing to watch in this F3 European Championship. And there is our race leader, who we've not seen an awful lot of during the course of this race. The reason being he's done such a great job from the off. He's on his final lap, though.
And what he's doing is still pumping in very quick times that are a second or so quicker than everybody else. He definitely seems to have the advantage. And that's the sort of pace he really needs over these next 2 races, over today and tomorrow, to take advantage of Marciello's lowly grid positions and really get some points, because he can really chase the points down. And, you know, who knows whether Marciello may have a problem. He's done fantastically well today to get himself in amongst the point scoring. You know, he's up his 3rd highest point scorer in 4th place overall, because Kvyat is an invitation car, so doesn't score points in the championship. But you know, Kvyat's done a fantastic job as well. You know, jumping at this level into Formula 3, and again on Red Bull's home track, which is always going to go down with Dr. Helmut Marko as well. They do like their boys doing well. The hard taskmasters make them, you know, they earn their place in motorsport, Red Bull drivers, to get a good job. If they do a good job, Red Bull back them, but they're very quick to say thanks very much, but no thanks. We don't want you on the Red Bull flag anymore. So the pressure's definitely on these guys, which I think is great. You know, that's
Checkered
what it's
flag.
about.
And it's his. He was just on the back of Tatiana Calderon there, but Felix Rosenqvist takes the win then. And well done to Felix Rosenqvist, then managed this race perfectly from the very, very start, did exactly what he needed to do. He'll be very disappointed that Marciello has also driven a remarkable race as well. But Kvyat crosses the line in 2nd place. There he is in car number 51 then. And as you say, Dr. Helmut Marko will be jolly pleased about that. Then we see Jordan King crossing the line 3rd. Then it is Marciello P4. And we see Latifi, who I think has driven a great race as well, and Muller and Lin, as the rest of them come through, and still scrapping towards the end there, right on the final lap, Sean. So Lin, Cheever,
Nissani and Tinknell there battling for 11th and 12th place, side by side coming into the last corner, but Nissani just managed to squeak it. But a great result from Rosenqvist. I mean, the fantastic job, really. He had the car under him to really make it work, and was easily the class of the field there. Interesting, Marciello just on that very last lap did his PB fastest lap, which is interesting in Formula 3, because I thought he would lose a little bit. But here's Rosenqvist coming out of the final corner again. Very strong performance from him. Comes over to the team. He's ecstatic with that. Exactly what he needs to do. And I'm sure the team are very pleased with that performance, as they show there.
Yes, indeed. And all things considered then, a great F3 race in great conditions. We didn't necessarily expect it, because the forecast very much for showers today. Those showers haven't appeared yet, but the clouds loom overhead, Sean, as we look out of the comms booth, which is right on the start-finish straight. So another 2 races to come from the FIA European Formula 3 Championship across the course of the weekend, as cars start to head down the pit lane. And there is Latifi, who I have to say, and I've said it more than once, really impressed me, the young Canadian. Drove a great race, I thought.
Yes, that's right. Something of everything there, as they show the results for that race.
Here is confirmation then. Rosenqvist takes the win. Daniel Kvyat then P2. Jordan King 3. Marciello, great race from him to take P4. Then Latifi P5. Sven Muller, Alex Lin and Eddie Cheever then 6, 7 and 8, with Michael Lewis in P9, and Lucas Auer, some hairy moments, manages to take P10. Then it's Nissani, Tinknell, Jan Mardenborough, Will Buller then P14, Giovinazzi P15, Wolf, Blomqvist, Durrani, Zeller, Rudersdorf then P20. All the information, of course, at FIA F3 Europe.com, as we see the rest of the pack then. And we lost Grenagan, Sorales and Josh Hill, sadly.
Yes, that's right. I mean, Rosenqvist will be pleased with that. And again, that's a good start to his weekend. Fantastic pace in that car as well. He just seemed to have the legs on everybody there. But there's King, who's also done a good job coming in there. Fantastic job from him. And again, battling through the field all the way through. So it'll be interesting to see how we get on in race 2.
And it's a great setup for the weekend, isn't it? It gives you such a boost, surely. Take it when you've got 3 races to run and take a win in race 1.
That's right.
Puts you on a high, doesn't it?
Well, and also they've got all the data now from a dry session. It's the first dry session they've had. So now they'll be going back to their truck, going through all the data they can download from the car, and then start making changes. I mean, to be honest with you, he had the strongest car out there, but the others will be going quicker. Now they can tell exactly what they can get the setup right for the dry conditions. And there's Kvyat there, who again did a good job, and I should think they'll be going back and making some changes to the car if it stays dry. That's the problem. Having said that, if it rains this afternoon, my money's on that young man. Very, very quick, great feel in the wet conditions.
And how big a difference is it as we look now at the championship? And 229.5 points is what Marciello has got over Felix Rosenqvist in 162. Then it's Auer in third place in the championship, with Lynn fourth, Tinknell fifth. Then we see Blomqvist, Sorales, Muller, King, and Pascal Wehrlein, who of course no longer in the championship. He takes his place in the DTM grid. So Rosenqvist not able, despite doing absolutely everything right, so too did Marciello. And therefore the benefit, if you like, that Rosenqvist has taken is not perhaps as great as he would have liked.
No, that's right. But he has squeaked that gap down. You know, another 2 races like that over the weekend, and suddenly he's back in with a shout again, where it looked pretty difficult earlier on.
As we look at some of the scenic shots around the racetrack here, and once again our winner relishing in the delight of taking that race win. The difference between a wet and dry setup, how much work has to be done, Sean, for the team back there?
Well, it depends how much time they've got. If it's a quick change, there's very little that they can do really, except for anti-roll bars and damper settings.
Okay.
If they've got the time, as they would have had yesterday, because it was wet all day, they're making ride height changes, spring changes, roll bar changes rather than just adjustments. There's a huge amount, and they can start changing gear ratios and things like that if they, if they have the time. But if it's if it's dry until about half an hour before the race, you are looking just anti-roll bars, maybe a slight ride height change, but again, because you want a little bit more room underneath the car.
So as we take a look then at our podium recipients, there is Jordan King, the Carlin driver. Some super slow-mo shots of the cars doing what they do best. And we turn our attention to this young Russian, Daniel Kvyat, then in the Red Bull colours. The Carlin Motorsport driver started the race from pole position, but didn't have quite the start that this man did. The winner, Felix Rosenqvist from the Muka Motorsport team, the best time of a 1:26.030. So we'll be heading up to the podium very, very shortly, as we see Rosenqvist once again out of the cockpit, and applauds the team that have worked so hard to give him the car that has taken him to the win in this race here at the Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg. Great trophy, Sean.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's they've spent a lot of money here at Red Bull just tidying the place up, really. I mean, it's a different circuit compared to the old Österreich ring, which was a very fast, quite a ballsy sort of circuit, whereas this one is a very quick circuit, actually.
Yes.
A lot of time you are spent full throttle, but is a lot of tight traction-led corners, and that's a big thing about setup. But a fantastic place to be, and great to look out the hotel room in the morning with the mountains all around you.
So there they are then, ready to go and head out towards the podium. Christoph Huer then from the organisers, and here is Felix. Daniel Kvyat then, thumbs up from him. And Jordan King then takes his step on the podium. And national anthem time. An abbreviated version of the national anthem. Just looking at Felix Rosenqvist, Sean. If you've never met him, never spoken to him, just look at him. You know he's Swedish, don't you? He's got that look.
Yeah, it's always red in the face. Looks like they've just had a workout, but I mean, really, he was pumping in the times. And the good thing here, I mean, again, gets his trophy from Dr. Helmut Marko, which is great. I mean, the good thing about this Formula 3 series is it's not in the middle of nowhere. You're right in front of the DTM bosses. You're right in front of the Red Bull guys, you know, who can make your career work or not work, and a great result for the team there as well. But that's the thing, you can actually make race wins turn into a career further on in motorsport. A lot of the guys moving up from Formula 3 to DTM.
So Dr. Helmut Marko, then the Red Bull Motorsport consultant, then it is that's undertaking the trophy presentation duties, and as you rightly say, as a showcase opportunity for these guys, Sean. Can't get better, really, can it?
No, definitely. I mean, that's why it's so popular, the Formula 3 Championship here, because, you know, they're able to advertise their talents in front of people who can actually make a difference to their career, rather than just in the middle of nowhere with nobody bother looking. I mean, that's the key to this championship success.
So trophies there have been presented. Team head away before the Henkel Trocken starts being sprayed, but Felix makes sure he lets the team have it, quite rightly.
I'm surprised they're doing that when it's quite so early in the weekend, but in an hour's time, those race suits and his team shirt will be quite sticky with champagne.
It's something you've always said, isn't it? Sticky overalls is not terribly desirable, is it, for the rest of the race weekend? But there we have it. They're enjoying the spoils of their success, and quite rightly so as well.
Let's see if the mechanic can catch this one. Yes, he did. Well done. Not quite so. You're better at catching it than drinking it, I think.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Well, there we have it then. Race one of the three across this weekend for the Formula 3 Championship done and dusted. And we hope that the next two races will be just as entertaining as they were, as we see the shots then of Felix Rosenqvist enjoying his victory. And from Sean and from myself, from the first of the F3 races across this weekend. We'll be back for race two in due course as we see the team celebrating. Bye-bye for now.